I gotta admit, I had to do a double take to be sure, but I'm surprised that the MC actually killed the scumbag. Now, at face value, I do think this is a case of the anime not being as probably graphic as it was in the source material, which up to this point didn't really bother me. In this case, it looked like he knocked him out, right? Like he walks away. But his framing and the way he was like phrasing things was like, hey, goodbye for good. And you don't just knock someone out who's basically trying to kill class rep to steal her skill, right? And yeah, no, he killed him. Walking into this episode, I was like, it's kind of like a 50-50 coin toss. Like, I can see a way of imprisoning, and I can see a way of killing him. But throughout the episode, it very much was like, no, it's like, guarantee this dude's not gonna die. And then they kill him. And I was like, man, this is wild. I bet I'm not the only one who's like, confused on how this looked. Took a look at the few comments Reddit had available at the time, and no one thinks this dude's dead. So I was like, wait, am I wrong? So then I looked at the wiki. No, yeah, he dead. The anime just didn't do a great job at framing the fact that he killed his bitch ass. And it's kind of my big topic of last week. I was like, can you have the MC remain to be innocent, but then also take a life, and then this dude stabs him in the shoulder, which is kind of weird because, like, there actually was stabbing in this episode, but I guess it kind of works because, Haruka's not really a psychopath, so maybe his deaths are a little more instantaneous versus the school shooter wannabe, but you know what? Isekai murder. They bait you, making you think that Haruka was gonna die because he used the death ability on him, and maxing out your luck has never come in more clutch. I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and thoughts on these Alone with Life episodes over there exclusively. So we're now episode 7 into the show, and I'm liking it. I stand by, I think I said it within the first couple videos, that I think this is probably the worst show I'm watching this season, but that's not really an insult. It's just like, out of all the shows I'm following, I like them all quite a bit, and this one just happens to be at the bottom of my list, but I'm excited to watch every episode. Like, it's the last show I watch on Thursdays, and we're on an amazing day for anime. I just really get the impression the show knows what it can be. I do think there's room for improvement. Like, I think it should have been a little more obvious that he ended this fool's life. Cause, yeah. Like, if it turns out, like, somehow Wiki's wrong, I'm wrong completely, we walk in episode 8 or something, and this dude's just, like, existing, that's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But no, like, I think it's pretty clear what happened. It's just, anime didn't really frame it as well, which I'm still a little baffled by, because our boy got skewered, and this man got this attack, which I guess the framing of it says to me they didn't want to show how nasty of a gash he put in this dude's chest. That's my impression, but, that's really my only major issue with this episode, is that I think they could have detailed the seemingly death scene better, but otherwise, it functioned exactly as it needed to. I think back to The New Gate. I covered that show, right? I actually really like the story, like the characters, production, complete abysmal ass. And then I look at a show like Loner Life. Visually not the craziest show, but it knows what it can be. It's decent art direction, minimal animation a lot of times, a lot of just static. It's still animated better than Blue Lock Season 2, but still, like, it's nothing crazy to write home about. But I like the shows that know what it can be. It ain't gonna get the Demon Slayer treatment, so let's make something that is, not, you don't look at it and say, damn, like, what could have been. You're just like, no, this, for the type of show I'm watching, this is tolerable, this is serviceable, and when they do something, like, I quite like the misty kind of purple smoky haze that they were doing on this man's weapons, very Necromancer vibes, stuff like that's very cool. And just watching, which was just one episode of a fight, that's really all it was talking shit. And the thing in episode 1 and 2 that really kind of hooked me in early on was how they handled abilities. Wasn't your run-of-the-mill, this dude shoots fire, this dude does this, that, and the third. The dude we're going up against has a copycat ability. Now, when he copies abilities, he can only use them 3 times before they run out. So the idea of basically going to class rep, copying her ability, using the copy on her to then kill and take the ability for good, then he can build the most overpowered thing ever. Super stereotypical, cliche, evil villain, but, I mean, school shooters in our own world have had less motivation to do what they did, so dude's just a psychopath who really flipped like that because woe is me. It's believable because he's an edgelord, and I think there's enough examples in our own world that, yeah, some psychopaths would have done the exact same thing. But I think, people reasonably had questions like, how is he going to take a skill away? Like, that doesn't make sense. Well, this episode actually covers their tracks. There's no plot holes to be found in terms of this dude's motivation. He literally was brought into the world, immediately saw the skill he wants, and says, I'm gonna go kill everyone. Now, does it make him the most complex and deep character ever? Absolutely not. But does his motivations realistically make sense for a psychopath serial killer? Yeah, it does. Dude had a shitty life and decided to just take it out on the world. We can look at our own world just minus the isekai skills and see exactly that. So the idea that from the beginning he had this plan in motion, there's a reason why he was going to target class rep. He built an arsenal of powerful abilities, and our boy came in with the maxed out luck stat, which, as we see, his maxed out luck stat be holding him. Overpowered weapons, combination of shit abilities, and we see the final result. And, we end up in a situation where, at face value, he wants to be a loner, but everyone really respects him. The jocks, the nerds, everyone. Like, they view him as one of their own, so yeah, he's not going anywhere. And I think, like I've said before, even though the title is A Loner Life in Another World, that's kind of the gimmick of a lot of these shows, is that the titles don't really line up for that long. And in this case, it's because he's a nice guy, wants to help people, and when he thinks he's no longer needed, because he's helped them so much, they're like, where the hell do you think you going, dumbass? Bonk on the head, you're with us now. And honestly, it's a simple show. It's nothing extraordinary, and I don't really think many people are claiming it is. But it's kind of nice having it seems like the people who are watching it are kind of coming out with a similar vibe of like, listen, this isn't our favorite show of the season, but it's well put together. The characterization for what they're going for is decent and serviceable, and honestly, it does have some surprises. Like, it made it look like they were going to kill off our boy, and when he started talking about how, like, he can remove debuffs, I'm like, death isn't a debuff, you idiot. Like, there's no way that works. But then they start talking about the luck thing, I'm like, okay, that kind of works. And there is some cringe to the episode. Like, so what ends up happening is, I forget the exact phrasing, but he's like, hey, 1 + 1 = 2 in our world, but 1 + 1 at least equals 2 here, but it's all about the roll of the dice. It was the cringiest shit I think I've heard on this show today, and that's something a Yu-Gi-Oh character would have said. But honestly, it adds to the charm of the show, if we're being honest. In general, this episode completely did not go where I expected. I really expected, like, I thought maybe 50-50, but quickly into the episode, I thought the dude was going to live for sure, and he was just going to build a prison. He dead. Yeah, if somehow we walk into a future episode and he's still alive, that would be the dumbest thing the show could have possibly done, but Wiki says he's dead. I was pretty sure he was dead after this episode, but yeah, one thing if I could change, it would have been a little more obvious the dude was dead. But I guess when he says goodbye, we'll never see each other again. Yeah, you probably aren't getting up from that, but it is what it is. Thoughts down below, what did you think, and did you expect this dude to die? Because I certainly did not. Thoughts down below, be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while you're over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. So today we got Cuds, Gestion Bromfield, L, Doc, Tarun, Throwaway 8135, and we also have Danny Boy. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.